We continue our working day.
I invite our speakers to take their seats. We'll be talking about expedition of the Ukrainian Leadership Academy to the EU countries. Our speakers are Luke Jacobs, Ambassador of Belgium to Ukraine. Olga Stefanishyna is the Director of the Governmental Office on European and Euro-Atlantic Integration. Yaroslawa Johnson, who's the Executive Director of Western Nice Enterprise Fund. Yaroslav Yurchyshun, Executive Director of Transparency International Ukraine. And Roman Tychkivskyi, who's the head of the NGO Ukrainian Leadership Academy. Roman, I will give the floor to you. Tell us what will it be and tell us how many students will participate in this exhibition and what are the tasks. Good afternoon, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to publicly today tell you about what's the idea and what's the mission is of the Ukrainian Leadership Academy and what is the expedition of the Academy to the EU countries. I'm happy to welcome our partners and friends. I would like to thank Western Nice Enterprise Fund. With their support, we've been operating for a year and a half, and I would like to thank the Diplomatic Corps, Mr. Luke Jacobs, the Ambassador of Belgium to Ukraine, for your support and assistance in organizing this expedition, and also our friends from the civil society, because we've been working together on that. The Ukrainian Academy of Leadership is a platform which unites young people of the age of 16, 18 who are working in the academy and they study after the secondary school, and that's the period of 10 months during which they work to improve themselves as leaders, as personalities. We are trying to expand their horizons because the beneficiary of our project is the state of Ukraine, and we see that we believe that young people are those who will help us a lot in the future, and we are inspired by the results that we receive. The idea is to delegate our students to study for a short period of time to the countries of the EU. And the idea is the countries where we go during a long period of time had some contradictions inside well, before they became the successful states. And we are interested to see this experience from the first hand. And we, having 5 academies, we can say that every academy is researching one of the countries, and the list of the countries includes Belgium, the Netherlands, Germany, France, and Austria. During about 10 days, we will be staying on the territory of these countries. We'll be examining the experience of the creating a state, what are the mechanisms of forming the state in these countries. We'll look at how the space is organized where people live so that it's comfortable for them to work and live. And we are working on cultural diplomacy as well. We are creating a new image of Ukraine, Ukraine that we are dreaming about and that we are developing now. And we hope that we will achieve the mission, about 25,000 new friends of Ukraine this year. We have in 5 different cities of 5 different countries of the European Union. Thank you. Thank you, Roman. Olha, you are a person who's responsible from the side of the government. You are responsible for the processes of your integration. What would you like to tell the students, to those who will go to the EU countries? What should they learn there? What experience should they take from these countries? Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank you for invitation, for this opportunity provided to speak here. I am grateful to all our colleagues for organizing this initiative. And I would mention three main messages which are so important during the expedition and after. Coming back from some countries, from European countries, there's a very clear understanding that there's not enough information about Ukraine, not just about the work of the government out there. European countries do not know much about Ukraine, which means that we need to disseminate this information, the information about the progress of reforms. We'll see that there's a political support of Ukraine, but there's not enough information about Ukraine, about its people. There's not enough understanding of what country it is. And it is important that so many young people will be able to talk about that. And also this visit is important in the context of the reform of public administration, because launching this process, we are, having launched the process, we are at the stage of reforming the institution and the process of implementing the state policy. And I believe this is very important horizontal reform, which covers all citizens, all civil servants. And this visit is very important, and the information which will be received by your experts and by the students will be very useful for us, because not always civil servants or civil service has an opportunity to cover so many institutions in different citizen countries. That's the second message. And the third message, we'll appreciate if after this expedition we can meet with the students and we can discuss the results of this expedition, so that they can tell what information is lacking, so that we understand how to correctly promote the country. And I will be supporting this initiative. Thank you, Olha.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to give the floor to His Excellency Mr. Luke Jacobs, who is a big friend of Ukraine. And I know that thanks to your embassy, the students were able to have many programs, to get much experience. Could you please share your vision of this mission?
First of all, I'm honored to be labeled a big friend of Ukraine. It's really touching for me. I'm also very proud that our embassy is being labeled a key partner of this exhibition. The support that we have given to the initiative, to the exhibition, is really a heartfelt one. And I tell you why, because this is absolutely a win-win situation for both countries. It is indeed important for Ukraine to fill the information gap that exists in our countries, and an exhibition like the one we are talking about today is, I think, a beautiful example of how Ukraine can communicate about itself, how the new Ukraine can communicate about itself. And you cannot dream of better ambassadors for your country than these bright young people that will be running around the European institutions, that will running around the streets of cities in Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, the UK, France. So Ukraine, the new Ukraine, the dynamic Ukraine has to be visible in Europe, and that is why we have wholeheartedly supported this initiative. It is a win-win, I said, because also I think for a country like Belgium, it is absolutely fascinating to see how our country is on the radar of people, is on the radar also of young people. And we thank this to the fact that we are the host country of the European institutions, of the Euro-Atlantic institutions. It is an honor that we have. It is also a responsibility that we have. We know that a lot of visitors do visit our country, and it is important for us that we welcome them in the best circumstances as possible. So this exhibition of about 230 students is quite a challenge, and was quite a challenge for us, for my embassy as well, already in providing in a record time there's so many visa applications, but we managed to do so, and we also assisted the Academy in making contact with different authorities, with different institutions, with universities, with companies, and I do hope that indeed this visit will be, I do not hope, I'm sure this visit will be a success for both sides. So thanks a lot for all the confidence that the Academy had in Belgium and in the Belgian embassy.
Дякую дуже, пане посол. Впевнено підтримую, що це буде досвід для обох сторін. Пані Слава.
Thank you very much. I'm sure this will be exciting experience, Ms. Yaroslava. You've been supporting this Ukrainian Leadership Academy from the first days of its existence. You were among those who initiated the establishment of this academy. You are one of the three whales, so to say, upon whom the academy is based. What is your vision? We are happy that we can send students to the EU. Our fund has been existent from mid-1990s, and the objective of this current program is to assist young people in course of their personal development. We devote much attention to the development of youth, and Ukrainian Leadership Academy is our biggest project in this area. We contribute to the future development of the country. We are keen to support these young people. We are happy that last year we were able to assist, and this is the second year in a row when we are happy to provide our support to this project. Yaroslav, as it was mentioned, the students will gain public administration experience, the state building experience in those countries, and try to understand how that experience might be applied to Ukraine. Do you think, are there any specific things which should be studied?
Thank you for your question, because together with Roman, we belong to the community of Plastuns. I was invited as the national teacher for the students of Ukrainian Leadership Academy. I visited 3 of the academies, and I believe that I will visit another academy in Poltava after we return back from Europe. And this generation of people is the generation who has not felt the Soviet Union times, and they can think globally, even though they act locally. And that's a great example for me, the Ukrainian Leadership Academy in Mykolaiv, where until recently the civil society had been developed weekly. Now, thanks to the support of the fund, and the fund supports not just the academy but the Agency of Regional Development, and thanks to local initiatives we managed to change the situation. And it's interesting how the knowledge that the new students gained have gained during this year, they will be able now to compare that with some other countries, because many people believe that in other countries everything's ideal, that there are no problems there, and everything that we call European is of high quality. But they very often do not understand that that was achieved thanks to very, very hard work. And when we very often forget how difficult these times were for European countries, and we forget about the challenges. And we have just been marking the anniversary of the Second World War. And this win-win strategy that the ambassador mentioned, how this helped to overcome bigger challenges that Ukraine had. And of course, now the challenges that we face, the war in the East and the reforms, these are great challenges. But the students, after visiting these countries, will understand more. It's a big challenge for us. We may lose these students geographically, and I would like to thank our government and our colleagues from Europe. They will help our students to make the choice. And the choice between whether to stay in Europe or come back, take the risk and meet the challenge and build a better country here. And I believe that we are now discussing the opportunity for students to have internship in our agencies like Transparency International Ukraine, and what the students, the experience that the students will get from Europe will be able to implement them here in Ukraine, and these students will become the agents of changes who will help us develop better country. We have the successful cases, and we need more successes in different directions. And I would like to invite not just the Office on European and Euro-Atlantic Integration, but all other state governmental agencies to cooperate with the academy and to invite the students for internship, because the civil service will not become attractive till people understand the mission that the people who work in civil service implement. And that is why, for me, that's a big challenge. I'm now leaving Transparency International in the hands of my team for a week, but I'm very interested to see how our Ukrainian students, after the knowledge they received, will be able to research the success of addressing problems by our partners, so that they, after they return, they don't just say, wow, how great it is there, but so that they, when they come back, are able to overcome challenges, because the societies who can learn from somebody else's mistakes can become successful. And we need to see and to learn from the West how to overcome problems following the win-win strategy. Thank you, Yaroslav. Also, Mr. Wolfgang Bindseil, the representative of German ambassador in Ukraine. The question to you, you've been in Ukraine for a long time. What should the students tell in Europe about Ukraine so that we have the strategy win-win?
Yeah, also to this conference. I I got in touch recently with the Ukrainian Leadership Academy, and I visited the chapter in Kiev, and I was very much impressed and very much encouraged also by all these young people who have so much hope and so much energy for the future of themselves, but also for the whole of the country. And I think it is a wonderful idea to bring them to travel to Europe and to see all the different societies we have in Europe, the differences, and also what is common to us, and what perhaps makes the European spirit. Because this is, I understand, the inspiration for them and for Ukraine, and in order to bring Ukraine closer to Europe. It is also important, as the ambassador from Belgium said, it's also important for putting the map of Ukraine, no, putting Ukraine on the map of the people in Europe in their minds, because until now, even 25 years after the end of the Soviet Union, at least I can speak for Germany, many people do not actually make the distinction between the different countries that came out of the Soviet Union, and it is important to promote in Germany the image of Ukraine. And it's very good if you have like 50 young Ukrainian people coming and speaking with Germans and explaining to them what Ukraine is about, what the Maidan revolution is about, and so on. This is very important. We are very glad that we have the Eurovision Song Contest this year, but there's not enough you can do to promote even further the image of Ukraine in Europe. Perhaps just because as a German representative I might touch upon the fact that one group of these more than 200 people is going to Germany. I think it's a very good choice because I mean Germany can offer the history, particularly of the last century, which might be of relevance for Ukraine as well, because Germany was also under a communist regime and then overcame this, and it has still the remnants visible, particularly in Berlin. And I encouraged the group very much to see those parts in Berlin that are still witnessing the history we have had of the division of Germany, but of the communist regime with its oppressive aspects and so on, and how we overcame this. So I believe it's a wonderful program, and I wish all the participants very many impressions. I wish also the Germans to be in very much and intensive contact with these young Ukrainians, and wish them all the best. Thank you.
Дякую дуже.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roman, some questions to you. I understood that all the branches of Ukrainian Leadership Academy sends its students. What will be the approach, whether you will mix all the regional academies and send the mixed groups to different countries? I think that this will be the biggest mission of cultural diplomacy that we have been carrying out during the last 5 years. And I think that this expedition is carried out by very young people. We believe in our Ukrainian Leadership Academy that each new generation coming to this earth should be brought up in right way. And I'm happy this time that 5 branches of Ukrainian Academy of Leadership, that is around 200 people, will be sent first to Brussels, where altogether within 2 days, we will study the European Union institutions, how it was created, how it functions. We will meet with the EU Parliament MPs, with representatives of Euro-Atlantic structures, and this big group also will meet with the leadership of Brussels municipality. Then this big group will be split into 5 different groups, and Mykolaiv Academy, for example, remains in Belgium. The rest 5 groups go to other countries. In Belgium, Mykolaiv Academy will study the work of municipalities, the functions of business, possible investments, culture, education, and similar curricula is developed for other regional academies. For example, Poltava Academy will go to France, where they will meet with the Senate representatives, then with the Ukrainian embassy. Then they will participate in commemoration of the 25th anniversary of diplomatic relations with France, and in the celebrations devoted to Anna Yaroslavna celebrations on May 13th, 15th. Kiev branch, as it was mentioned by our German colleague, will stay in Germany. I'm very grateful to you for devoting your time to participation in today's event, and for your encouragement given to our students who are going to visit Germany. I think that Germany is a strategic partner of Ukraine, and this visit will strengthen people-to-people relations between our countries. Kharkiv Academy will visit Austria, which they will visit after Belgium. Then they will travel to France, and finally they will come to Austria, where they will carry out their studies. Then they will spend 1 day in Geneva, where they will discuss organization of trade, business, and other process. And the Lviv Academy will visit the Netherlands. The Netherlands looks like not a new country for the Leadership Academy. Our previous experience of studying Europe started last year from the Netherlands. It was on the eve of referendum, and we made the decision last year that 50 people from our academy had to go to the Netherlands to communicate with people and to communicate with them, to describe what is Ukraine. And at that time, the slogan, I'm Ukraine, I love freedom, like a symbol that we are ready to take responsibility for our country just now. And with that, we appreciate a possibility provided to us by our partners to study, not just in Ukraine, but to go abroad and to study experience of the EU. I recollect that last year we presented your trip to the Netherlands, and at that time you set yourself the objective to get 5,000 new friends of Ukraine. Whether you set any such numerical objectives for yourself this year. Each year our expedition is sounds rather friendly, and we say 5,000 friends within 5 days. And this reflects my experience that the energy of students is very convincing. And by the way, it as of now, we said that we have got more than 10,000 new contacts in the Netherlands, despite all that skepticism which was shown to us at the very beginning, because mass media presented a lot of information in Ukraine at that very time. But nevertheless, we managed to be covered by local media, and we got rather warm welcome meeting when we just landed in the Netherlands. And by the way, all the places which we visited last year, they voted in favor of the association agreement with Ukraine. And nevertheless, we were not disappointed with other cities, because now we have an idea how the Netherlands people think about Ukraine, what they feel about Ukraine, and we are eager to provide them with the information about Ukraine which they lack.
And how were you selecting which academy will go to which country? Was it like blind voting or what? It was a blind voting. It was like a lottery. We just put not 5 but 8 pieces of paper into a cap. 3 were empty, and then each academy selected the country where they will go. They were dreaming maybe to go to one country, but they will go to another one. And that gave a chance for students to understand that you don't get in life everything that you want immediately. But after the expedition, will you get all the students together in Kiev? In the result of your trip, will they somehow share the experience or the impressions from different countries between themselves? The last days of the expedition will spend in Poland, in Krakow. All groups will visit Auschwitz, so that after this long period of staying in a country, they will see one more country, they will see the tragedy, what's the discussion around this tragedy in different countries, and what can we do, because we also have very tragic pages in our history. Then, after we cross the border, we will all be in Lviv, and there will be the first reflection on what our experience was. And I invite all the journalists to come to Lviv and to meet our students there, to get their fresh impressions and to get this positive signal and transfer it to the whole society. We have the mission, and if the young people who are 17 or 18 years old can make it, why cannot we all make something? And we have such people as Yaroslav who will go with us. We will invite the representatives of the diplomatic corps from the countries where we will go to analyze all the experience we gained there, and we will give an opportunity for our students to meet with the representatives of the government, of the presidential administration, of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, to share their ideas on how this initiative could be developed in general. We have quite an ambitious goal to popularize, to promote Ukraine. We would like to cover more than, to have more than 1 million contacts in European countries till 2030, and I hope that we'll achieve it, and we'll be able to do it only with the partnership support of different organizations. Dear colleagues, if you have any other questions, you're welcome. Lina Kuch, Voice of Ukraine newspaper. We are pleased to be information partners because the mission of Ukrainian Leadership Academy coincides with our understanding. We also want to establish direct contacts between people inside the country and between people in different countries. Our readers are interested in the following. What will students take to Europe besides the arguments? Maybe some gifts or something that will help you convince people and promote Ukraine. Thank you for your question. It's not an easy question. First of all, the important task is to establish dialogue, and that's why we take our experience, our knowledge, but besides that, we take there our dreams, to share our dreams with our friends in European countries, so that people see that we all are trying to build new Ukraine. And for that, we need not just the support, but knowledge. We will all be wearing the T-shirts that similar to what I have, and that's a great communication means to relay very important information that we Ukrainians, we love freedom. We are the nation that loves freedom, and we learn how to be free and how to be responsible. We take books about Ukraine, some pamphlets about Ukraine, about the Ukrainian Academy of Leadership. Yesterday I was pleased to see the rehearsal or the how they were rehearsing the pitch talk, how they will be introducing themselves to the citizens of France or Germany to establish contact. And from our experience of last year in the Netherlands, we saw that the first day it was difficult to establish contact, but in the end of the day it was good to get together to analyze how we were communicating. Maybe someone was aggressive, someone was not very convincing, and they learned from these lessons, and next day it was easier for them to establish communication. And this ability to learn from your own mistakes helps a lot in life. We also hope that we will be able to cover media space and to bring some good news to our society, so that one thing we need to do is to implement reforms in a shorter period of time, because we have less time. One more thing I would like to add. In May and June of this year, there's a campaign of selecting new students or recruiting new students to Ukrainian Leadership Academy. And we believe that young people who finish school today will learn more about what is Ukrainian Leadership Academy, so that more people apply to the academy, so that we have a highly competitive selection, because next year we will have another mission to implement.
Roman Wybranovsky, UCMC. I have a question about the representation of those students. In Sumy, 94% never left the city. In Mykolaiv, 80% never left Mykolaiv. In Uzhgorod, this is the best rating. 96% only never left Uzhgorod. So the question to you and Mr. Yurchyshun, you mentioned that people in Ukraine do not maybe know how hardly people work in the in Europe, and how to prevent this marginalized thinking in Ukraine among people who never left the country. So quite often I hear the question, what do your graduates do today? And our course is offered for 12 months, is offered to the students for 12 months, and we allow students to feel themselves as more integral leaders, to take responsibility about himself, herself, or about community which is around her. Also, how to tackle with the challenges existing in society, and to get quick results. We have such thing as volunteer work, 8 hours a week. Our students work as volunteers in orphanages and hospitals among needy people, and when they feel personally that they can change the situation in communities, this allows them later to go abroad and to communicate with the people. As of now, we have 39 graduates of our academy who study in the universities abroad. 10 of them are students of the Ukrainian Catholic University. Some of them are students of the Kyiv-Mohyla Academy. Part of our students are not students of any universities, but they are preparing themselves to enter the best universities abroad. But they are preparing themselves very consciously. They are fully aware what they want to get in result of entering these West world universities. So we are more or less sure that all our graduates will come back to Ukraine to work here. We have already gained this experience. Also, we learn from international leadership paradigm, which have been existing in Israel for 25 years. We observe how young people, after this leadership academies, later join more mature leaders, and they are eager to work further. And currently we work on the further horizon, future horizon, for example, Leadership 2030. I also would like to add, currently we have pilot projects of apprenticeship of the students' academy in the business structures, local self-government structures, not just volunteer work. I think this is very important because practice is a good check for the theory. For students, it's very useful to go abroad to try some practical work, then come back to Ukraine and try to apply something here. we try to I think that today we can motivate the younger generation only with challenges. We have resources in Ukraine, but they are limited, and access to them is limited for very limited circle of people. And those people who have knowledge, experience, ambitions, they are sometimes deprived from the resources. It is important that all our students who enter the academy, they are ready to say no to their parents who wish them to enter university, while these young people wish to take this gap year to understand what they want in this life. I think this is very important skill which is offered by the academy. We will see how this will become sustainable in Ukraine. And in order to make it sustainable, it should exist for 3-5 years. I think this academy now has all the chances to become good phenomena in successful education for young people. It is able to unite young people and allow them to find their place in this life. This, I think, will be a unique feature of the academy. Having now the first group of graduates, the academy tries to preserve this group of alumni and have preserved this community. We encourage Ukrainians who get education abroad and who worked abroad to come back to Ukraine, just like Maxim Nefedov and some other young reformers in our government, to come back to Ukraine, because the future of Ukraine, tomorrow of Ukraine, depends on young generation. And very much here will depend on whether this new generation will share European values, or alternatively we will remain just with as the country with rich resources and nothing more. I think here much depends on very young generation, those volunteers approaching to the Europeans in their native cities and saying that they are from Ukraine and what Ukraine is. Thank you.
If I may, a small comment. Maybe many of those who are present here know that governmental office, together with the project of the EU, has been for more than a year looking for such young, ambitious experts who have both Western and Ukrainian education, so that they can join those people who promote European integration in Ukraine. And we understand that many people are not attracted by civil service, not because the salaries are low there, but because it's a great responsibility. So I believe that the skills that your students get in Academy of Leadership, this makes these people this golden fund of people who are ready to take responsibility. And they will understand that they will be able to apply their knowledge. And again, I would like to emphasize that we are ready to continue this dialogue because we can use this experience and we can get you students to join us in our work. I would like to add that forming a young people in the Ukraine Leadership Academy is based on values, and one of the values is we are Ukraine. And the students, the alumni will probably tell you that we talk about values so much that sometimes they feel it's too much. But our task is that the values, our task is to make values become the instrument of decision making. The values can unite us, and I would like to tell you that young people start implementing these values in life, and we see good results of the work that we do. And the main objective is we want to bring more benefits to the humanity. Thank you, Roman. That's a very good conclusion when you mentioned values. I remember when the academy was just formed, many people were convincing their children not to enter the universities but spend 10 months of their life in the Ukrainian Leadership Academy. And these students every day show how this works. I wish you a successful expedition. I wish you to return with new knowledge, which you will be implementing in life. And there are 2 entities who are ready to take your students. Thank you.